In this video, we will look at the process of selecting an image, monogram, word mark, or combination of those for the purpose of logo development. Let's first break down the anatomy of a logo. What are the parts that make up the image that you wish to project to others? This lecture attempts to raise the appropriate questions you should think about in the development of your logo. The what, why, where, and how questions that only you can answer. Explore what type of relationship you want to communicate about your business. Is it about an object, an idea, company, or a single individual? Logos are used to differentiate the viewer from competitors' products or services. The logo should attempt to create an internal focus on your business objective. This includes a clear identity, thereby allowing the audience to form some sort of relationship to your company. A logo simplifies an identity by bringing order to chaos, boiling your identity down at a glance. Tough order, I know, but when you get it just right, you never have to think about it again. A good logo should create credibility, convey a message, and finally provide possible merchandising opportunities. An important distinction needs to be made early on. A logo is not a brand unless it's on a cow. A designer cannot make a brand. An audience creates the brand by forming a perceived relationship to your company. And now you understand why the slogan, "The customer is always right," was created in the first place. Let's begin by answering what. This is perhaps the easiest question to address. What will this logo be representing? It should be a distinctive symbol of a company, object, publication, person, service, or idea. The next question is who? Who is your company directed at? And more importantly, who do you want as customers or clients? This brings us back to the second part of what. What type of work will you be doing specifically? And this question leads us to how. Sometimes answering this question just boils down to something as simple as asking yourself, how do I envision spending each day in my professional life? Think about where you want to be located. One of my favorite former professors, Mike Lynn, once told our class to be careful where you land. In other words, be deliberate with the choices of where you want to live and grow your business. According to Lynn, there are no stopovers or temporary stations in life. 20-something years later, I have found this to be sound advice in life. One last aspect of the question where, what would appeal to your base demographic in the region in which you locate your business? Make sure your values come across to the demographic you're trying to serve. Let's look at the anatomy of a logo. There are three possibilities for your logo: an image, a monogram, a word mark, or some combination of two or more of these. The first example is an image. The symbol for the Chase Manhattan Bank was created using geometric shapes, assembled to imply a circle. This is another example of a symbol, an iconic image of the now defunct Singular Wireless Technology Company. The logo was so effective for its time that it is still remembered long after the company folded. The advantages of using a symbol as part of your logo is that a picture is worth 1,000 words and may have instant recognition. The disadvantage is that if the symbol is separated from the word mark and the mark does not have equity, it might be difficult to recognize. For example, do you know what company this logo represents? Which brings us to a word mark. A word mark uses the company name with proprietary letter forms. At some point, Mobile updated their logo from this image of a Pegasus to a word mark, which proved to be a smart move. Because, after all, what does a flying Pegasus have to do with gasoline? The advantages of word marks are that in the literally millions of logos, those with symbols alone are difficult to recognize. The disadvantage, however, to a word mark is that the word may be too generic and lack mnemonic value. These are examples of failed symbol logos because they were either not recognizable to their company or too similar with an already famous one. Monograms are a design of one or more letters, usually the initials of a name, used to identify a company, publication, person, object, or idea. The ABC logo, designed by the great late Paul Rand, is probably one of the most iconic and successful monogram logos today. The advantages of using a monogram are that it solves the mnemonic and legibility issues efficient with long names. The disadvantage is that monograms often masquerade as logos. Generic initials may look great on letterheads and corporate towels, but could have little recognition to the public. For example, you may or may not be able to recognize these monograms. To recap, the combination of the logo, which forms the visual system, is a combination of typeface, colors, and imagery. These all work together to form a unique and cohesive message for a company, person, object, or idea, and this lends identity to the logo. This is an example of a word mark. Part of the identity of this logo is in the typeface, which is a custom style created by the inventor of Coca-Cola. Each one of these famous logos relies on the geometry of a circle to represent stability and trustworthiness. BMW, Target, American Broadcasting Company, US West, General Electric, and Starbucks. This is a successful monogram that has become a household name, Lego. This is an example of a combination symbol and word mark. Remember, the identity of your company is not its brand. The brand is the perception formed by the audience about a company, person, or idea. This perception is the culmination of logos, visuals, identity program, messages, products, and actions, and in this case, an undeniably recognizable font. This brings me to my last point. Never use a trademarked font such as Disney's or Coca-Cola for your own company identity. Choose from one among millions that are out there. Once you've answered the questions of who, what, where, and how, then you can best identify images that would match up with the identity you would like to project. These are various examples of student ideas from brainstorming sessions in studio. What are the elements and principles of design that make each of these images attractive? The proverbial drawing board for every designer are the principles and elements of design. In this example, Marcy Bassett chose to focus on the elements of line, repetition, balance, harmony, and focal point. In Sarah Todd's example, she chose two different inspiration photos. The stair photo focuses on the elements of line, repetition, balance, and rhythm, whereas the octopus image represents texture, balance, and unity. Look at Sarah Todd's execution of the elements of design on the right side of the screen. Her thumbnail sketches successfully explore her understanding of the following elements: repetition, balance, rhythm, and texture. To get started, Find your inspiration ideas or photos. What images attract you? How does each idea represent you? Are you comfortable with this image representing you to the outside world? Looking at your inspiration ideas or photos, try to identify the elements of design. What do you see? Do you see line, repetition, balance, unity, harmony? Go back to your elements and principles of design and look over the list. What is it that really excites you about the images? For me, I'm usually attracted to images with a lot of texture, but that will be different for each of us. The next question that students always ask me, how many images do I need? And the answer is, that depends. What are the passions that drive your creativity? Identify those and then seek those images. Now that you have your inspiration images, you will need to translate them into an original design to reflect the elements that you identified. See an example through the following demo. Create a new artboard in Illustrator. Using the Place command, insert an image onto your artboard and embed it from the Control panel. You can either trace your image with the pen tool or try the Auto Trace, which is called Image Trace in Illustrator. Try lots of options. The ones that you don't like, discard by doing either Control Z on a PC or Command Z on an iMac to undo. Once you have the image traced, it will be a series of paths with anchor points, and you can use your white arrow to modify the image. You can change the color, you can change the path, you can erase things that you don't want by using the white arrow to highlight it and then hit the delete key. Here I'm going through a series of commands through the object pull-down menu just to show you the different ways you can either simplify a path or group and ungroup different selections. For more precise information on using the Image Trace tool, visit adobe.com on the Creative Cloud. There are a lot of videos that highlight this tool. In my opinion, the best option and the cleanest option is to select a simple image and trace it with the pen tool. It will be worth the investment of time because after all, you could end up using this image or this tracing as your logo for a long time. Here, I will begin the process of setting up the two-page presentation of the logo assignment. Page 1, which you see here, will have 3 categories. The 3 categories are symbols, monograms, and word marks. The symbol category should have 1 to 2 images shown a total of 5 different ways. The monogram category should demonstrate your initials, a minimum of 3 different ways, using 1 to 3 different typeface styles. And finally, the word mark is 1 to 2 examples of your name or your company name as a word mark. You will see me here select different types and change them to a shape. To do this, go to the Type pull-down menu and choose Create Outlines. The benefit of doing this allows you to manipulate the words as an outlined image. The disadvantage is that once you've outlined the text, you cannot edit it as type any longer. You can, however, modify the outline just as you would any other vector object. Once you've created the type into an outline, try changing the stroke value or using a fill. Try lots of different things. For example, use the white direct selection arrow to manipulate the shape of the outlined letters. Just move the anchor points around until you find something that you like. Be brave and try different things. Look at crazy ideas. And don't forget, you have an undo command, Control-Z on a PC or Command-Z on an iMac. I'm going to frame this first image with an ellipse and use it as a clipping mask. Visit adobe.com to see all the ways that you can use a clipping mask. Alternatively, you can use a rectangle to simply frame your image. When in doubt of what to do next, select an object, use your right mouse click button, and look at the mini menu. You can arrange objects by sending them forward or back. Don't forget that you can use the white direct selection arrow to manipulate the object and remove unwanted elements as well. The erase tool can also be very helpful in helping you modify an image. You have to remember to make sure that your object is selected for the erase tool to work properly. The video is going to speed up here, and you'll see me try to finish each of my requirements in the 3 different categories. When I'm done doing this, then I will add a new artboard for page 2 of this presentation. And to do that, I will go to the artboard panel and add an additional or duplicate artboard.